In step 2 of your layout and design activity, I'm going to show you how to take the plain brown or whatever color rectangles and squares you created and add some wood grain to both the background and the panels. So when you're finished, you'll have like a birch plywood in the background, and then we'll add a mahogany type wood for all of your panels, and we'll be able to change the grain direction like you see here. So the first thing I'm going to do is to change my background. In the first video, we set this to a light tan color to kind of mimic that birch plywood. I'm going to go back in my options, which is right up here in 2018, and then if you go to tools, options, and some of the older versions. So depending on which version you have, you might have to open up document to see background here. So you may have, there's little pluses in some of the older versions. So clicking on the background there, this is where we set the color. I'm going to go to bitmap and I'm going to go to browse. I have this for you on Schoology. So if you look at the bottom of our Schoology page for the layout and design activity, there's a JPEG here that's birch plywood. Just get that downloaded so you're ready to go. So I'm going to go to browse and I'm going to click on that image that I have downloaded, go to import. It's larger than my document, so that's good. If you brought in a different image off the internet and it said it was only 8 by 8 and our document's 11 3/4, you could increase that size or scale it up by going into custom, or I could shrink it down to the exact 11.375 and hit OK on that, and that'll give me that plywood look in the background. The next step is to change this from a solid color fill to a bitmap fill. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to Object and bring up my object properties. So that's a little window that's going to show up over here, and as you select your objects, you can change the stroke or the fill on those objects. So right now the fill is set to brown, and we're going to end up using a bitmap pattern fill over here. Now I'm going to do it to all of them at once, so I'm just going to go and I'm going to select all the objects out there. So if I were to just, change them, you can see they all change together. I'm going to go into my bitmap fill, and then you're going to open up this menu. I've already done this, so this wood shows up here. But if you just go here and you search for wood grains or wood, you'll get a bunch of different ones. Depending on the version of Corel you have, you might see something slightly different in here, but you're going to pick whatever one you want, and then you're going to apply that to your panels, so you'll see that change. Now, looking down here under transformations, the first thing I'm going to do is change the grain direction. So most of mine run vertical, so I'm going to put in 90 degrees here and click in another box. See how that rotates the pattern. The pattern is also pretty large for these little squares, so the pattern size right now is 4 inches by 4 inches, and this will be different for, if you pick a different pattern fill, you're going to have to play around with this value. But I'm going to put in 1 inch here for the height and width of my pattern. I think that just looks a little bit nicer for the wood grain that's in there. So the color looks good. Again, most of my panels run vertical, so now I'm going to just click out here in space, and I'm going to grab the panels that I want to change the grain direction on. So if I click this, you see it brings this box up again, and it's still rotated to 90. So I can just type in 0 and rotate the grain direction on that. I'm going to grab a bunch of these at once, so I'm going to click this, I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm going to click all of the little boxes that I want to rotate. Once I have those all selected, I'll just highlight the 90 again, put in 0, and rotate those, and do a double check on those. That looks good. If you've already printed and you're going to print again, it's the same settings as we did before. We're going into File Print, and you're going to select the TechEd drafting printer that's up in room 132. You'll click over on Layout here, and you're going to fit to page. Your name should show up at the bottom still, and then it's just a matter of hitting print, and that's it.